here we go. New book, new music, same low-effort intro. Let's have some fun. Of course, we'll begin with the Ninja no Chigiri. I am Ninja. My parents are the heaven and the earth. My home is my body. My power is loyalty. My magic is training. My life and my death is breathing. My body is control. My eyes are the sun and the moon. My ears are sensitivity. My laws are self-protection. My strength is adaptability. My ambition is taking every opportunity with fullness. My friend is my mind. My enemy is carelessness. My protection is right action. My weapons are everything that exists. My strategy is one foot in front of the other. My trust is in Quan. My way is the way of the tiger. Hello everybody, I'm Raphael Perry and it's time for some more of The Way of the Tiger. In the last episode we made it safely through the forest of Arkadan, past the city of the Runes of Doom and the city of Greydawn, beyond the mountain range, and are headed on our journey towards Irsmuncast nigh Edge. Our good friend Glavis the Ranger took his parting from us and gave us a beautiful silver shuriken. Then he is gone, leaving no trail as you call your thanks. Our journey now continues. For some reason I blatantly have a couple of extra tabs open in the background, which will become readily apparent in the near future. Actually, the reason is so you don't see search engine predictive texting showing anything I might have been looking for recently that... No, honestly, I'm not sure what I might have looked for recently that you shouldn't see, but hey, you know what it's like on the internet. You journey northwards for 2 days, skirting to the east of a range of wooded hills, and then the ground dips before you. In the distance ahead are tall black cliffs, and the vegetation gives way to rocky earth, which is blackened and cracked. Then an immense chasm opens up before you. You have gone too far east, and stumbled across the bowels of Orb, the great rift, spawn of all evil that opens onto the middle of Orb. You are in the most dangerous region on all of Orb. As you walk away from the edge of the precipice, a great geyser of gas and sand erupts and noxious vapours overcome you, forcing you into a deep sleep. You lie dead to the world in this most dangerous region for a day and a night. When you reawaken, you are shocked to realize how long you have slept in the steaming desolation at the yawning edge of the chasm. You may restore up to 4 points of lost endurance for your rest. Well, we absolutely need that, taking us up from 6 to 10. A much more respectable number, literally half our normal health rating, and healing one of our injuries. The 5-point injury down from 14 to 10 is only partially healed. Man, look, it's the way I track health, okay? It makes sense to me. I don't remove wounds until they're fully healed. To the west, green and forested hills. Ah, no. You stretch, then look around. To the west, green and forested hills. To the north, the fissured bleakness of baked mud and the black rock that lines the bowels of Orb. Still feeling drowsy, you set off northwest, anxious to leave the chasm behind. There is no telling what evil may issue forth to assail you at any time. Speaking of which, now this is slightly strange because it looks like one pair of eyes, two pairs of eyes, and one mouth. However, the sun shining from behind gives a brilliant aura of this sense of him glowing himself, radiating. As you approach the hills, you hear the rattle of harness, clink of armour, and the snorting of a horse coming from behind a low ridge. As you watch, a bizarre apparition appears bit by bit over the crest. The sun flashes on the wavy points of a bronzed helmet. As the mount climbs the ridge towards you, the whole of the helmet comes into view like a golden sunburst around the gleaming helmet, the front of which is like an actor's mask with holes for eyes and a narrow curved slit like a sinister smile. It tops a figure clad in elaborate plate armour from head to toe. The horse is a magnificent piebald mare of 17 hands or so. The figure looks like a metal statue, very still in the saddle. The figure rides down towards you in silence. There is a huge bastard sword strapped across its back, the hilt behind its left shoulder. Do you want to attack now and ask questions later? I'm wounded. He's in full plate armour. And if he can afford full plate armour, he's probably good at fighting. Stand your ground and wait. Or flee, perhaps wounding the horse if the rider gives chase. I will stand my ground and wait. The figure reins in the charger, towering over you as you wait to see what it will do. Will you break the silence and ask it what it is, or remain silent? I will ask. Who or what are you? Says our monk, or words to that effect. What are you? You demand. I am Dore le Jeune of the Order of the Paladin Knights of Dragonhold. The voice sounds like that of a young man. Okay. I am Dore le Jeune of the Order of the Paladin Knights of Dragonhold. The voice sounds like that of a young man. The language is the common tongue, but his name is not a man-marcher name, and his accent is like none you have ever heard. Le Jeune is French for the golden, so it would be safe to presume that Dore would be a sort of French version of Dorian, so like, well no, Le Jeune is the yellow, but he's all in sort of bronze and in gold and armour, so it's probably like the golden one, the golden child. Now, if he is a paladin, remember this is based on 1st edition, then he will not be lying to me. If he is not a paladin and he's lying and pretending to be one, that is an extremely unusual thing, a very brave thing to do, because it's like claiming a great title. It's a extreme honour to be a paladin. This isn't like 3rd edition or 4th or 5th edition where you can just decide you want to be a paladin and it's just a cleric fighter hybrid. Actually, in 5th edition it can also be a druid fighter hybrid or a ranger fighter hybrid, sort of, in a weird way. But anyway, no, this is like 1st edition, where this isn't even the 2nd edition paladin, who only has like 3 ability score requirements. The first edition Paladin has 5 ability score requirements. In addition to the notorious Charisma 17 requirement and the Strength and Wisdom requirements, the first edition Paladin also has an intelligence requirement, basically, and a constitution requirement. Basically needs everything except for dexterity. So to be a Paladin is to be gifted with significant natural advantages, to be physically capable, to be better than most other people, to be good enough to be a chosen one of the divine. Not only that, but his powers are significantly less than that of any cleric. He is a fighter with a little bit of clerical power, right? It's not a 50-50 mix. It's not a hybrid. It's just a very small amount. But he does have divine protection, which is always great. So what I'm saying is, for someone to claim, to seriously claim, not like in a jokey tone of voice, that they are like the Prime Minister or President or King of a country, right? And to mean it with all sincerity, they'd better be able to back up that claim. So my point is, because it is such a vaunted, exalted position, if he is lying, he might be lying. If he's not lying, and we presume he is, he could get very offended by that. And that wouldn't go well for us. Also, we had the option to not ask this, meaning that if he had initiated the conversation and we did not have this information, things may have gone very differently. Because if he is forced to tell the truth, and he has now told us this, if we were having a conversation without this information, that might be something else. What are you? You have the look of an assassin. Will you reply by attacking with a throwing star? Or say that you are called by some Avenger and you worship Quan the Redeemer? Say your name is Malvolio and you worship Nemesis, Lord of the Cleansing Fire, an evil god. Probably not a good idea, if he is a Paladin. Or say that you are called Temperance by those who know you well, and that you worship Inoka, the innocent friend to all. I mean, that would be somewhat acceptable. However, if he is a Paladin, he will be able to sense if there is wickedness within us. If we claim to be evil, he probably won't bother to check and will just assume we're telling the truth. If we claim to be rather neutral and bland, I don't know. However, if we do tell him the truth, he will appreciate that and trust us more. Also, it is very rare that we would get such an opportunity to be so open and true with someone that we meet. And if he's a Paladin, we can absolutely trust him and tell him this, so I shall. We are Avenger, a worshipper of Quan the Redeemer from the island of Tranquil Dreams, which is why we might look like an assassin. So we've given an explanation. You do not look like a worshipper of the Great Redeemer. Surely you are an assassin? The voice sounds like that of a young man. The language is common tongue, but the accent is like none you have ever heard. Will you say that you are a ninja from the island of Tranquil Dreams, or say that you kill only evil people and never without a cause? Ooh. If we say we're a ninja, he'll understand why we look like an assassin. If we say that we only kill evil people and never without a cause, that's pretty true. he may respect that more, but I think the truth, the justification, the verification, he will appreciate that too. The figure is unmoving and silent once more. Then it tilts back the sunburst helmet to reveal a face whose handsomeness takes you by surprise. It is disarmingly boyish, blue eyes and a bronzed face framed with flaxen ringlets. It seems altogether improbable that such a man should be astride this magnificent charger on the edge of the rift. I have never heard of such an island, but I sense that there is no evil in you. You ask him what brings him to the bowels of Orb. I'm going to preempt this. This is 1st edition. This is probably a paladin in hell. The illustration on the right-hand page, opposite the first page of the paladin class entry. And here we have him fighting all the demons and devils and horrible creatures. And the artist name and the title tiny down the bottom of the page. Yes, it is really small. And now I don't need this open or this search tab open. Here we go. He's come to the bowels of Orb to go down and try and fight everything, or he's on his way back from there with barely a scratch on his armour. Let's see what he has to say for himself. This illustration doesn't look that boyish. There's something about that jawline and those cheeks that looks more Superman than young kid. And in all fairness, that's quite a reasonable assumption. Superman is basically a paladin. But with the ability to leap over skyscrapers in a single bound, faster than a speeding bullet. Oh yeah, and later on he got the ability to fly for some reason, you know. Right. I am Dore Lejeune of the Order of the Paladin Knights of Dragonhold, and I journey to these infested regions for a 10-day each year, and wait for the orcs to boil out of the rift and attack me. What then, you ask? Why then I smite them until they will trouble good men no more. But what if dark elves attack you with sorcery? The young man does not reply. He merely strokes his sword and smiles. You find it difficult to decide whether he is sensible or far gone in madness. We do have the skill of Shinren, so we may be able to read his heart and realize that he is a fucking awesome hero of a magic sword that protects him from evil and a magic horse, probably as well. Right, let's see. Your heart training tells you much about this stranger. You can trust him. He is of open character and what he tells you is true. He has dedicated his life to fighting evil and is no more nor less insane than you. He shows no fear of you, but this is not arrogance, nor the inexperience of youth. The signs are that he would be a powerful friend or a worthy adversary. We have no need for an enemy at this point. And also, having a paladin on our side is always a major bonus pre-3rd edition. Even bigger bonus in 1st edition than in 2nd. But then he would have an even stricter code of conduct, like do not associate with non-lawful good characters for more than the duration of one single adventure. Yeah, that was in there. Oh yeah. You suggest to Dore Lejeune that you move away from the bowels of Orb. If you decide to trust him and tell him who you are and that your business is in Irsmuncast, that would probably be a good idea. If you prefer to keep your own confidence, look, here's the thing. We can trust him, as in he won't use any information we give him against us. He might, however, announce it openly to our foes, but he's not that dumb, right? He has a wisdom score. Let's trust him and just tell him. It'd be good to have an ally in our quest. You begin to tell Dore Lejeune your story. He is a sympathetic listener and you confide in him fully. He wishes you luck in your bid to topple the Usurper and he invites you to mount up before him, which you gladly do. After a while, he turns the charger away from the rift in the direction of Irsmuncast. He soon guides the conversation to the topic of the god Quan the Redeemer. It becomes obvious to you that he is passionately interested in theology, and, on one occasion, as you twist your head to look at him, you catch a look of pure zeal in his eyes that is frightening in its intensity. At length he says, "But it is not enough to worship Quan the Redeemer, who would tolerate a follower of the chaos god Beatan the Free as easily as the true follower of Eo, the prince of priests and Wheel." The young man's wordy preaching is becoming a trifle oppressive. Do you reply that Quan stands for law as well as good, and you see it as your duty to convert others to this faith? Or chide the young man gently, saying that a free spirit is freer to do good? We are not a missionary. We're not trying to convert him. If we tease him, if he's a true paladin, he's likely to take it in his stride and appreciate the jest. But Quan does stand for law as well as good, because monks must have a lawful alignment. I'm not sure we're supposed to... Right, hang on. But it is not enough to worship Quan... Hang on. Should this not be... But it is not enough for a worshipper of Quan... No. Okay, so Quan is lawful good. Beatan the Free is chaotic. But because he's good as well as lawful, he can tolerate the chaos and understand that it needs to exist. A free spirit is freer to do good, but we are bound by the strictures of our faith. So no, I will go with the first action and hope that doesn't get me into trouble. It's going a little far. You can sense Dore relaxing behind you, and you know that you have said the right thing. He journeys with you to within sight of Irsmuncast, and he tells you something of himself along the way. He is indeed a fanatic. He has devoted his entire life to the persecution of evil, and he has only those possessions which he needs to realize his goal. The rest of his spoils he gives to the poor. His god is Roshaval, prince of knights-errant, wielder of the Holy of Holies. Legend has it that Roshaval was once a paladin, a mortal who won the favour of Eo whilst campaigning in the Abyss. So heroic and pure was he that he became a god, an enduring example to those who fight evil and chaos. He does not say so, but you guess that Dore's dream is to take his own place in the garden of the gods. You become well rested on the journey, and Dore's hands have the magic touch of healing. You may restore any points of lost endurance, and shall do so immediately, all wounds being fully healed. After several days, the walls of Irsmuncast show blue on the horizon. "I must turn back now to the rift," says Dore, "but I will return. Farewell. May you never stray from the straight and narrow path which leads to the seven heavens." You dismount and wave farewell, and now we have arrived at the city proper. Kind of almost want to stop here. Let's go this one more section and see. You unwind your hood and take a sleeveless white homespun jacket from your bag of ninja tools. To complete your preparations for entering the city, you take off your shoes. The rightful overlord of Irsmuncast will enter the city humbly, barefoot. The city is set amongst rich farmlands and meadows in which grow the various plants giving rise to colourful dyes. Irsmuncast is famed throughout the Man March for its weaving and dyeing, for carpets, pavilions, and tapestry making. It is a fair-seeming city, its walls made of a dull red stone with towers at 50-foot intervals along the battlements. As you walk through the fields, you can see that its citizens are of many types, some flaxen-haired, others with flashing black eyes and raven hair. You are surprised to find that many of the peasants have a coarse-limbed orcish look about them. Some have the noseless faces of half-orcs. The great south gate is a triumphal arch, topped by 2 squat towers with a raised portcullis at front and back. The inscription on the arch reads, "In memory of the great victories won by the people of Irsmuncast against the dire forces from the edge." The gate guard are alert and number 10 noseless men, probably half-orcs, under the command of a priest bearing the whirlpool symbol of Nemesis on his black robes. It seems a strong guard for a city which is not at war. You wait for the influx of peasants at dusk and slip into the city unnoticed at the changing of the guard. Now that looks suspiciously like some kind of werewolf. You know what? Ooh. Once inside the city, you decide to seek the safety of the Temple of Quan, but the street that leads from the gate runs only 50 yards before opening out into a large green, rutted with the wheels of carts. Oxen teams are being led away from the wagons of a merchant caravan, and one corner of the green is occupied with the gaudy-coloured pavilions of merchants and their agents. 1 or 2 smaller tents boast the names of clairvoyants and soothsayers. 2 large streets run on from the green. One to the north, towards some imposing and grandiose buildings. The other to the east, towards a park. You dare not ask the way for fear of giving yourself away as a stranger. Will you go north, east, or dally outside one of the soothsayers' booths? Well, you know what? I may not tarry by the soothsayers' booths for too long, but I think I'll wait until at least the next episode. I'm aware this one could be considered being fairly uneventful. We haven't had to roll any dice yet, but we got safely to the city, which is a good narrative story beat on which to end it. So with that, I'll thank you all very much for watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you all in the very next episode. Goodbye for now, everyone. Cheerio.